Coastal Championship Wrestling, the last remaining territory, this is the longest reigning territory, indie scene in Florida, one of the longest in North America. It's been 20 years plus. Thing is running wild. They've increased shows, cities throughout Florida, also Nashville, Tennessee. Tremendous talent on the shows, up-and-comers, veteran talent, names you know from other organizations, federations, some that have gone on to wrestle for some big organizations as well, trained. They have their own training center in Pompano Beach in South Florida. They've also trained many that have gone on, do bigger and better things. Just amazing. Nelio's been leading this. The OG Dan Evans is with the group. Gangrel is the head trainer, one of the big trainers there. Alex Chamberlain's involved. Nelio's coordinating everything that has to do CCW, running the show, running everything about it. Nelio, thank you so much. Big things coming up. Tell us about CCW as far as, we'll start right here. Bash at the Brew in Hialeah, one of your biggest events. I mean, 700 strong, packing it once a month. And now you've had to sort of veer a little bit there because you've done brewery shows in Doral, in Tampa, in Homestead, still doing those. Hialeah, because Unbranded Brewing Company is closing, you're going to have to now navigate. So tell us the big things now going on in Hialeah for Bash the Brew.
What an introduction always, Jim. You always give me the best introductions. It was crazy. Bash of the Brew was home, Unbranded Brewing Company home. But with the way that, life is, my home was sold from under me. It's happening a lot. I mean, that type of thing is happening a lot, just sold. It's kind of sad, but, it's also new beginnings, 44 straight months without missing 1 month in Hialeah for Bash at the Brew. You mentioned all those shows. We have 10 months in the show, 10 shows in the month of August alone, and I think 7 in September. But I mean, you say what you will, our pay-per-view, our A show, what everything built to has been Bash at the Brew. So it's been an incredible 43 months. We've seen, like you said, incredible growth, from 200 people to 700 plus people on a monthly basis. And people have flown in, people drive in 3-4 hours to come to Bash. It's really been a pilgrimage, but all good things come to an end. Things are more meaningful because they end. Right. If we lived forever, Jim, everything would be, meaningless. Right. So the fact that the 44th is the final one, August 31st, makes all the other ones more important.
And the thing is with that, I want to just make sure everyone knows too, this is not CCW pulling out of Hialeah, not at all. This is because the facility, the brewery was sold. That's why. And now they're going to do this last show. Tell us what you can. No Don Jardine alerts here. Just tell us what you can about this show coming up, the final show here, and then moving forward, what's going to be happening for Bash at the Brew.
Great question. Yeah, so August 31st, we're calling it the last Bash. Right now it's being headlined with the first ever in CCW history tables. It's a 4-team tables, ladders, and chairs match for the CCW Tag Team Championship. You have the Crown. You have the South American Alliance. You have Danny Briggs and Kurt Stallion, who have been incredible lately, both ex-WWE guys who've kind of come together really to go roughshod through that. And then, of course, the Miami natives, some of the most hated guys in CCW, ERA and Ricky Martinez 5-star era. So you have those 4 teams. You have tables, you have ladders, you have chairs, and you have those belts hanging on the top of the Unbranded Brewing Company. So we are going to we're going to destroy the building. It's the last night. It's already sold. We're sorry to the VC company that bought the building. We're going to go nuts that night. Also, it's going to be crazy because Unbranded, I mean, I saw this amount of stock of beer they had. They're going to be trying to sell it. So I can't tell you exactly what the price will be on those cases and cases and cases and cases of beer, but I have a feeling it'll be priced to move. So we have a situation where it could be our most packed show because I have some surprises, some AEW talent who are dying to come down here, some ex-CCW talent that are going to show up. You have QT Marshall will defend the CCW heavyweight title. You have Joe Garcia and Eddie Valentine. The Night Riders have exploded. Eddie turned on him. Joe attacked him, and they're going to have their first match one-on-one at the Last Bash, among a bunch of other, like, the whole show is going to be stacked. So that being said, it's going to be the best show that we've done, and it's also going to probably be the drunkest audience we've been in front of, because the price of beer is going to be insane that night. So I don't want to make any spoilers, but I think that's a hard sell, Jim. I don't think there'll be anybody who hears that. Good price beer and an amazing show with packed with surprises, August 31st. But going forward, like you mentioned,
wait, before we go forward, and we are going to go forward. Before we go forward, now I've got to address something current. Is there going to be extra security around that beer?
Yes,
there's going to be extra security around that beer.
Yes, there will. There will be a lot of extra security August 31st. I'll tell you what, I already told them I'm taking cases and cases of our beer in my car at the end of the night. I would pack a truck of beer, but there will be extra security because, we're going to be partying all night long. The owners at Unbranded, Zach and Lance, have been so awesome. Like, they're inviting everybody that they know. And it's just a big celebration of what Unbranded was. Like, Unbranded was a really difficult endeavor because it cost millions to open, and then when it opened, COVID hit at the exact same time. And then, when the COVID restrictions were done is, 3.5 years ago is when we stepped in and we started, and it really got going. But, the way that things are going right now, I think, with the values of the buildings and everything like that, it was the time. But Zach and Lance will always have a special place in my heart. We've done a lot of stuff together. So, but August 31st, Last Bash, that's going to be incredible. Going forward.
Well, go ahead. Moving forward, but will Fonzie be there? Is Fonzie going to be there?
Fonzie will be there. You said cheap beer, Fonzie will be there. Okay, you said the words cheap beer, and that Fonzie will be in the building 100%. So, Fonzie will be there. You couldn't have a Last Bash without Fonzie, so it's going to be incredible. Moving forward, it was announced. We have a new home in Miami, the Tank Brewing, which is an incredible place. A huge place. It's very nice. It's done very well. It's a very corporate, but a very like comfortable environment. And they had me at 2 words. It was a bidding process. We did put it out there to a lot of venues. We spoke to a lot of people over the last couple of months. But the 2 magic words were air conditioned. So the words are air conditioned. So you're going to pack a lot of people in there. And one of one of the positives of Bash too, it was positive and negative, is it was so hot in that building. It was magic, like the old Sportatorium, right? Or the ECW arena. Fonzie would say it really did feel like that ECW arena because it was hot, but the fans were just rabid the whole time. Whether tight 2-hour show, but once it hit 10 o'clock, it was rabid fans still.
So interesting too. No, I was going to say it was interesting because you're going now, and that first show. Do you have a date yet for that first show at the venue?
October 5th is the first at the Tank, and it's every first Saturday. We're not breaking. The only first Saturday, the only Saturday that we'll miss will be September 7th, but we're filling it with October 31st. So season ticket holders are going to get 12 shows in the year, and they've all been informed, and they're all going to be there the 31st. But going forward, every first Saturday of the month, forever.
And it's close to where Unbranded was, like you said.
It's about a 7-minute drive. I timed it out, so it's very close. So it's not much of a difference, I still want because there's a lot of like Hialeah natives who live in Hialeah that don't come to any other show but Bash at the Brew because they live there. They do watch the show, and they do watch so I expect them all to be there. And speaking to a lot of the regular fans, at least, they all said that they will be there and they will be so happy. I think we're just going to lose out on the hand fan sales that we've been doing so well on at Unbranded. But you know what? That'll be fine, because being comfortable is incredibly important for a wrestling show.
And Nelio, you could always ask them too. certain shows. Hey, let's turn the air off. Let's sell
Let's
some
turn
fans.
the AC off. We'll pump the heat up and let's make it feel like the classic bash, right?
And let's sell some fans.
Yes, yeah. Let's sell some fans. Let's sell some fans. I love it. Yeah, we're. I mean, it was so lucky. I'll tell you this. I was approached in December that this was potentially going to happen. So these last 9 months, I have. I've every moment that I've been in that building, because that building is special to us. Like the fans are special. Like they're different. They're crazy, and those same fans are coming to the tank. But I have breathed in every moment. It's felt like home. Every single show, I'll take a moment and I'll get on the steps to the second floor and I'll look over that audience and I will just appreciate and be grateful to all those people that spent their time. And I didn't know if the move had to happen in March. So I'm glad that we got these 8 shows, these from Bash 30, 38 to or 36 to 44. I'm really glad that we got those there. And again, I'm just really excited. The amazing moments, Kylan King and Marina Tucker in a cage match, it was a couple of years ago, and it was still some people came to me and said, like, you're not going to have 2 girls bleed in a cage and fight. And I said, why not? And now it's normal, but a lot of people came to me and said, like, that's not a good look. And that was one of the best matches in CCW history, not just at Bash history. Obviously the matches that like Brian Cage had, Ariel Levy's CCW heavyweight title run, when he wrestled Ricky Martinez and he came out dressed as Fidel Castro. And I'll remember the hatred in that building. You're in Hialeah, you're in the heart of Hialeah. And I told him, I said, you have some courage to do this. I wouldn't dress as Fidel Castro. So moments like that I will just remember forever as just the insanity of Bash. And the first Bash, I was talking to Brian Cage earlier, and I said, the first Bash, he just happened to be in town, like working out. And I said, dude, just come and run in and beat a couple guys up. And he said he might show up. And he showed up at like 9:30, and we did it. And I'll always remember because, people that was set the tone is anything can happen at Bash at the Brew, so we had a lot of just unannounced surprises because we knew that the tickets would sell. So we could do Moose as a complete surprise and Davey Richards as a complete surprise and QT as a complete surprise. Different guys that we didn't even have to advertise because we didn't need the ticket sales. So, that's what makes Bash kind of special. You never know what can be.
Their fan base has been really good, really strong, consistent. You mentioned 10 shows in the month. I mean, what indie group does 10 shows a month, let alone 2 shows a month?
Right.
And you guys have been able to do this throughout Florida, also in Nashville, which is great.
And growing, like I haven't really announced it, but like we're growing in the Tennessee territory. I've kind of set up a new structure and some stuff to really fill it out. I started running in Nashville because I had a business there. I have a business in Nashville, and I needed my space there. And luckily, we made a deal with Redcon One because I had a ring just sitting in a corner of my warehouse. So luckily, we made a deal with Redcon One, and now we have a new venue, a couple different venues, and then now we have a really great fan base in Nashville. So we're expanding that to 3 shows a month in Tennessee, in the state of Tennessee, in the next couple months. But now the Florida initiative has just been like the new show in Tampa, Magnanimous Brewing is incredible. Like we're having our 5th show we've already, I don't want to say this, but we've already outgrown that building because it's packed. But I love the owner of Magnanimous is so cool. Like when you have a venue owner who's just like, he's just so into helping grow, it makes my job way easier. Like he's stoked about the shows. He's stoked before the shows. He invites press to the shows. He invites VIPs to the show, and he's proud of the show that we grew there. So when you have a venue guy like that, even though we're outgrowing it, I'm going to stick there, stick with him, but yeah, we're just lucky. Kissimmee's been incredible for us. Conquer Kissimmee, incredible. Just lucky.
Well, now we have a big weekend coming up. I really like this. It's a combat sports weekend in South Florida. So it's going to be Friday, August 16th, Hard Rock Live, Seminole Hard Rock Casino. You have PFL MMA semifinals. So
I love PFL. PFL's on
fire.
Yeah. I love PFL. Obviously, like our history with Dan Lambert, with King Mo in here. And King Mo would train here at the CCW training facility in the morning sometimes. I have wrestled. I have I have amateur wrestled King Mo multiple times, and I'll tell you, he will gas you out. He's so strong. You know, I outweigh him probably by 100 pounds, but he's so strong, and he's got so much what is it that I don't have?
Cardio.
Cardio. His cardio is elite. So you realize where level like in human life people are, and Mo is at another level. But PFL, I see it everywhere. I see they have really exciting shows, and they're growing. So,
and there's a lot of American top team, which you mentioned Dan Lambert and King Mo, because Dan Lambert, the co-founder and owner, and King Mo, who's competed MMA, trained MMA fighters, big wrestling fans, been on wrestling shows as well.
Yeah.
And that's his facility, American Top. He's where he trained. And then you have Kill Cliff FC, which isn't far from there in Deerfield Beach. And many of the talent, top around the world talent, are going to be on the show, the PFL MMA playoffs. So that's going to be fun on Friday night at Hard Rock Live. Saturday night, you've got CCW coming to Port St. Lucie, which now you've made a regular stop in Port St. Lucie, which is really cool because I don't think anybody runs Port St. Lucie other than CCW. And we'll talk about that. But then Monday night, you've got the big show. First time in 11 years, Raw is coming to Sunrise, Amerit Bank Arena, home of the NHL Stanley Cup champion, Florida Panthers.
Yes.
I know Gangrel's a big Panther fan.
Yes, of course. I'm a Blackhawks guy, but when I watched every single Stanley Cup Finals games, I was on the edge of my seat. I can't believe they pulled out Game 7. Go Panthers.
So that's going to be fun on Monday. So
and Blake Chadwick, I'm pretty sure he'll be filming Main Event, which I think I want to hear the Blake Chadwick pop in Fort Lauderdale next Monday when he comes out. Before if he does, I'm not 100% sure, but I know he'll be there. But I want to hear that Blake Chadwick pop because he's deserved it.
Blake Chadwick, who's been with CCW and has been around for years, and he's like jack of all trades, wore many hats, ring announcing, interviews, commentary. Done so many things. You see, now he's been getting a shot with WWE, doing lots of things there, and he's go by Blake Howard now. That's his name there. He's been working with Byron Saxton, Road Dogg, Jesse James. How about that?
That's great. So cool. Him and Byron have great chemistry. I love Road Dogg and Blake too. I think Blake. Here's what Blake is. One day will be on Monday night. He'll be on Netflix, watched by whatever 1 billion people. Or he'll be on SmackDown on USA or whatever. He will eventually do that. But how crazy is it that like it has become increasingly hard because they're bringing in a lot of like what is the guy from college football and a lot of like super well-known professional guys.
Corey's coming in. They brought Pat. Well, Pat McAfee does many different things. But right, they tried. But here's my thing though, Nelly. For whatever reason, they try, and not color commentary, because Pat McAfee does color. I'm talking about lead commentator.
Yeah.
They tried.
They brought the Gladiator guy who said Jeff Harvey. What's his name?
Oh, gosh. Well, yeah. Well, they brought in, they brought in Adnan Burke. No good. They tried Kevin Frazier backstage and then converted him. Didn't work out. They also had Jimmy Smith, another MMA guy from other things. Didn't work out. It's like everybody that puts in that number 2 lead commentary position. Michael Cole has got the number 1 lockdown for many years. That's his thing. But number 2, they can't. They even tried Renee. Renee is excellent, but at lead commentator, it's a different ball game. That's what Blake can do.
Ari Emanuel. I'm saying this to Ari Emanuel directly. Give Blake Howard a chance because you put that guy in the second spot. I've never seen Blake fail. If you tell Blake this is a pre-tape, this is what we need. He knocks it out of the park. If you put Blake with any color commentator guy, he knocks it out of the park. He has not failed. Now, is it his time? Of course, he needs his seasoning. But you know what? Give him a shot. Ari Emanuel, whoever, I don't know who's making the Nick Khan.
Michael Cole is a big. It's a big part. Obviously, there's other. And people. I was told Michael Cole is very active in hiring, or at least, hey, we need to get this person and that person in and all. And the color commentators they've been doing good with, and the backstage interviewers they've been doing good with. But ever since they had Mauro Ranallo. Mauro Ranallo did an excellent job for them. And then Mauro had some issues with his fighting depression and things. And who knows what happened backstage? I don't know. Who knows? But
it's a stressful job. Play-by-play is such a stressful job, especially if you have someone in your ear and they're telling you like, you're going to commercial, but say this, and it's like I can't even imagine. So if you are prone to depression, or I can't imagine that. So yeah, but Mauro Ranallo is great too.
It was awesome. It was awesome, energetic, passionate. He knew what he was talking about. He knew what he was talking about too. Yeah. You get some of these people from other sports, other avenues. They're polished on the microphone, but they don't know pro wrestling. Look, you've got Blake, you got Ian Riccoboni, who's been doing stuff. Yeah. You got people out there, but Blake is right there. Ian's not with them. Ian's with AEW, I guess.
Ian's growing in AEW. Ian's working. Ian Riccoboni's with AEW. He's growing slightly.
AEW Ring of Honor and doing things there, but you got Blake is there. So eventually, I think, hopefully, but when you say somebody like, "Hey, we're bringing this guy from ESPN. He does College Game Day," and everyone's like, "Oh, the name factor and ESPN and all this," and it's like, wait, is that going to resonate to WWE Universe fans? Are quite different.
But also there's another aspect. As I'm old and I feel old now, but I'm old enough to remember when Michael Cole got there and he started backstage and they played him off because he was like a war correspondent, right? And I remember when he first started. And I was a kid. I was a kid. It took a little bit for him to really people hated Michael Cole in the beginning, and now he's on par with. I think one notch below JR, but he's on par with JR, and he's on par with the with the greats. So but that's going to be tough because you put Blake there, and again, I think Blake will knock it out of the park. You have to give someone some time this season. Maybe that's what's happening. That's why he's on. Level up and
I'm sure it is. They want to see how he does, test him out, and go through that whole process. Yeah, and then see what happens. Who knows? He could end up in NXT, and they can move NXT to SmackDown.
Yeah. Things don't work out with John. And he's a young guy. His 30s, his mid to early 30s. You could do that. I mean, how old is JR? I mean, JR is at the end of his thing, but he's 70 years old, right, or something like that. So you have time. He has time.
Now, another one also, Lola Vice, trained with CCW. She's just hitting it out of the park with NXT. Just so many have come through, and of late, it's just been amazing, too.
Bianca Corelli, who's Ariana Grace, incredible. And then just incredible. It was really cool at WrestleMania, a lot of people that, getting some feature spots that, went through a little bit through our system. It was really cool to talk to them and see them. And there's next ones are coming. The next ones are coming. We've got a kid, Tyler Cashmere, who is still learning, who's a little he's not polished. Like Blake came in polished, right? Like he looked like a guy, but he's got some Tyler feels like a sports talk radio host a little bit, but it's a different style. So, we're trying to grow the next WWE star,
Now, tell us about the Big Port St. Lucie show, CCW, that's coming up that weekend, Combat Sport Weekend, South Florida.
Summer Glory. It's a huge Saturday, the Mid-Florida Event Center. The city of Port St. Lucie has just been so incredible. We run there 6 times a year. We run in conjunction with the city. The city is who hosts us, which is a huge boost. Anniversary was our largest attended. Actually, I don't know. War Games and Anniversary had right about the same amount of fans. I couldn't tell you exactly. I think Anniversary might have had a little bit more than Game of War. Did I say War Games? Game of War. Don't send me a cease and desist. Game of War and Anniversary were just insane. The tickets for Summer Glory are insane. It's just, we're lucky to have a building that size to pull our fans from Kissimmee, who are an hour and a half away, our fans from Miami, who are an hour and a half away, our Fort Lauderdale base, and then our Treasure Coast base. So we kind of put together these, 6 of these super shows to kind of connect the territory a little bit. So it's working so far. So that's the show to go see. The real one, formerly known as Enzo Amore, takes on Danny Briggs in a huge main event. You have Cha-Cha Charlie. You have The Crown taking on Task Force. You have a lot of amazing talent, and it's an amazing show. But it's the vibe, that's the big show for us. Bash, obviously, like I called the A show, but Summer Glory is a huge show. First Summer Glory was 2004, so this is 20 years. I mean, we don't do Summer Glory every year. We do now, but so I can't say it's like Summer Glory 20, but it's a huge show, and there's a few surprises. There's deal's not done, but there's a really big name from the past from CCW who's going to kind of reappear, and I don't want to spoil it.
Bruno Sassy's coming. Is Bruno Sassy coming down?
Bruno was an anniversary. It was great. He should be at Summer Glory. The co-founder, Bruno Sassy, but no, a huge name from the past, from the early CCW, is coming back. But we just have to figure out what the schedule looks like and when it happens. And I know you know who we're talking about, Jim, but I don't even want to say it. Because I want it to be
I always say this all the time, and I'm saying the second time for this interview. No Don Jardine alerts.
No Don Jardine.
That's right, everybody. None of that.
So we'll see next week.
Really cool. That's gonna be really cool. And well, I will ask this. This isn't any spoilers, but will Chris Farrow, Elliot Crow, and my man Ozzy Killmeister be there? That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know, Nelio.
100%. Ozzy is wrestling. Ozzy, Skits, and Dan the Dad. Dan the Dad, who's a really interesting guy, really fun guy. He's been in Game Changer Wrestling. He's been all over. Really well. They will wrestle Alex Chamberlain, Eddie Valentine, and Chico Adams in a 6-man, and then Pharaoh and Crow also on the card. So it should be a good. Yeah, Chico Adams returns. It's going to be a big one.
That's a really cool 6-man. Those three. Wow,
yeah,
Chamberlain,
that's going to be a
wow. Yeah, because I'd say look at Alex and Chico, and I'd say they'd be ready to work anywhere.
Yeah, Alex is a guy who's ready for primetime. Chico's a guy ready for primetime television. Eddie Valentine is probably one of the most interesting and fun wrestlers to watch. He's easy to hate, easy to love too. When he was a good guy, he's very easy to love, but also very easy to hate. And then Ozzy is just Ozzy. Like if you look at Ozzy from a year ago to now, it's night and day. The popularity is like astronomical. And then Skits might be one of the most interesting guys in wrestling. Like he's so entertaining. It's like everything that he does is like a mini movie. So I like hard-hitting, realistic wrestling, and he still brings that to the table, but it allows us to kind of flex our creative craziness a little bit. And in some of his promos are picked up in a mainstream sense that suddenly they'll have 100,000 views, and they're not wrestling fans. They're just watching this guy and who he is and stuff. So gonna be great. Gonna be an awesome show.
It's something that right when you're doing that and could look and all of a sudden you're in that wrestling persona, and then all of a sudden he goes to that other persona where he's talking deep, normal, and then back to the craziness.
Yeah.
And all. That's something that it's hard to teach something like that. Guy can do.
I've had there's a director who has an acting studio in Miami. He's a Latin American actor. He does a bunch of films. Director, sorry. And he came to the show, and he was looking at some of Skits' promos, and he was, and obviously, he's a friend of Ariel Levy, who's a movie star and all that type of stuff. So we got to a little bit of that.
And Ariel's doing a work commentary for AEW Spanish.
Ariel is signed. Yeah, he's signed at All Elite Wrestling. He's the Dynamite color commentator for the Spanish language, and he just got his contract renewed, rolled over, and he's got a lot more responsibilities. And they're what I'm really excited about is they're growing their Latin American market and their production, because I don't want to talk out of turn, but they didn't produce the Spanish language version of the show as closely as they produced the English language run, right? And that's normal. Well, over the last 4 or 5 months, and he was part of his contract renewal, they brought in a lot of new producers, and they're really pushing the Latin American aspect. So they film extra backstage stuff and extra other things for the Latin American audience, and Ariel's a major part of that. So he's working a lot, and I'm so glad, like, cause he's like a brother to me. Like, I love him, and I'm so proud of him. But one of the things that is crazy is he'll be gone during the week working at AEW, flying there, and then Thursday we're driving 2 hours to Kissimmee the next day to wrestle, and then Saturday, and it's like, man, it's cool. It's like, but he hasn't changed. Sometimes people change because now that they're getting a check from Tony Khan and they're growing and stuff like that. But and also I was with I've been backstage with him at Dynamite as a guest a couple times, and he walks around with his CCW hat, and people knew who I was, and he's representing the company and the brand, and it was really cool. Tony Khan knows what CCW is, and I'm like, this guy is an ambassador to what we're doing, and I didn't ask him to do that. He's doing that because of the love of the game, and so I'm happy, And Blake, by the way, I mean, I don't think he's we can't show him on camera. We can't show Blake Howard on camera, but he can give advice to our guys, and he can, when the live wrestling drops or a full show drops, I'll have discussions with Blake Howard on how the show is doing and what he feels and stuff like that. Not because not because I'm pressing him to, because he cares, because he wants the show to grow. So I think it's the same thing. I've had some discussions with like writers at NXT, and have a little bit of a relationship now with Gabe Sapolsky, who's part of independent development at WWE. And it's for having Bianca and Jake Tucker, who's Channing, and Blake Howard now, and guys like Ryan Katz and stuff like that, who help us out and think of us in a positive way. So as those guys grow, they give back, which is awesome. Which you can never ask that. You can't force anybody to have that love, and you have to cultivate the environment. You know what I mean? Like the second you tell someone like, you better mention this and that, they're not going to do it. So they're doing it. They're doing it because of the love of the game,
Stacks. Hey, you mentioned Jake Tucker. That's a CCW guy doing great things with NXT.
Amazing.
And then about Marina Tucker, you mentioned earlier, and she's with Wow Women of Wrestling.
She
was their champ. She was their champ.
Yeah.
So, just amazing and all that. So, all right. Anything else you want to close with?
Get Summer Glory. So get the Summer Glory ticket, and then go to Raw and go to PFL on Friday. And every first Saturday, we're in Miami. Every second Saturday, we're in Tampa. Every second Friday, we're in Kissimmee. Every third, we're here in Pompano Beach. No, sorry. We're in Tripping Animals in Doral every third weekend. And then the fourth Saturday, where every time we're here at Pompano Beach. We were at a sellout last month with the Kumite. We're doing the Coastal Cup, which is a single elimination tournament, August 24th. I think, that Saturday. So come, and if you can come to one show, or you can come to all shows, you want to check out the stuff online. Like, I just appreciate all the fans and everything that they're doing. Like, you're going to come and you're going to be able to get where you don't have to watch 10 shows to understand what's going on. You can come in and enjoy one show, or you can get the full experience and come to 3-4 shows. And Jim, you're the best. When it comes,
yes. Wait a minute. No, because I want to make sure we get this in too, Nelio. Because you do how I've seen CCW grow. I've always been a fan of the local wrestling and CCW and everything's doing. But how it's grown has been just tremendous. But you mentioned like, hey, come to the show, and you want fans to show, but people can watch CCW live. They do that. Am I right? YouTube.
Yes. So you go to the YouTube every Tuesday night. I do a first run, a half an hour show with some of our hard hitting matches edited down, and then on that same thing, if you want to watch full matches, we also have a playlist of full shows, so you can watch them all for free on the YouTube anytime. So I always say if you really want to catch up, watch the last like 5 Alives, and you will know the stories coming in. And enjoy yourself, you know what I mean? And then go back and go to the channel. You search the channel, search for Brian Cage. There's 11 amazing Brian Cage matches on there, or 12 amazing Brian Cage matches on there. There's amazing, like, you can go back through the history. There's over 1,000 matches, which is crazy if you think about it. There's over 1,000 matches on the YouTube, and 200 and something Alives episodes. So if you want to start at one, Super Crazy versus the King of Flight, Will Austin, or if you want last week's, which is Mila Moore and Carolina, former NXT star Carolina Cruz, you can start wherever you want, and you go from there.
It's so cool because you can watch WWE and you could say, oh, wow, CCW had a part training them, or they were on a CCW show. You watch NXT. Oh, same thing. You can watch AEW. Same thing. Impact Wrestling, MLW. Other Ring of Honor, also NWA, also Al Snow's OVW, also CMLL, AAA. You'll see
it's crazy. It is crazy. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Like, you spread the wings out across like NWA, TNA, Ring of Honor, AAW. They're all like, there's so many guys who had their roots here, have their matches here. A lot of guys who were trained here. A lot of guys who like, and a lot of people who come for 4 to 6 months and they sharpen their skills and they go elsewhere. You know, Tiffany Nieves, I remember she just got signed an exclusive deal to the NWA. I remember the first day she came in, she's like, I want to be a stunt woman and I want to get better. And I said, well, this will make you better. And she just came in and she busted her butt and she did everything that she could. And she was lost at first and she figured it out and she worked her ass off. So, and her butt off. So like, that's what it is. You know, the next Kylan King who just come off an injury, but should be on Raw or AEW. You know, she's on TNA. Signed to TNA. Jay Vidal, who's with us almost every weekend, signed to TNA. And then, the next person could be here now training. There's Nikki Blackheart, Nicole Ripple. It's almost one of those things where you want to make sure that she's fully well-rounded as a wrestling star before she gets called, because just her look is so different. You know what I mean? So she's next. Meadow should be on AEW, and he's had his looks, you know what I mean? The Crown have had their looks, so it's just a matter of time with those guys.
The Crown and Meadow are excellent talents, but their physiques and their look
I tell my guys, we go to a new town and I'll put Meadow and I'll put the Crown, because as soon as they look at the curtain, if no one has seen these guys ever before, you'll figure it out. Something's up now. They're going to jump up and they're going to start to scream. That's a whole different thing. That's what the difference of like when you would watch the Road Warriors or you'd watch George South, right? So like George South would come out and like maybe he's a good wrestler, or Bob Backlund even, or the Warlord, or the Road Warriors, or Hulk Hogan 6'7" or 6'6", what kayfabe wise or whatever, or Undertaker. Those guys are just, the first time you see them, they're that. So, and Nikki's that too. Nikki, like, you see her the first time and it's like something is completely different about this person. So that's what you want.
You could always tell Nelio, you put somebody in the crowd. Do they stand out while they're in the crowd with the fans? Oh, wait. Or are they going to be like, no offense, but George South, you put him in the crowd, you're like, oh, wait, he's a fan.
Yeah, exactly. You know who has that? Because I've walked through the airport test, right? I've walked through the airport with Gangrel, and people who don't know wrestling, they will look at him and they're like, is that guy a rock star, or is he because he's big, he's lumbering, the hair, the fangs, and even when he doesn't have the fangs, he's got something with him, right? So it's like that. I've walked through a crowded street in Nashville, Tennessee with Gangrel, and of course you get a lot of people going, oh my God, it's Gangrel, but you also get a lot of people like, is that guy in Whitesnake? Is that guy in, what I mean?
They're
like
looking, right? They're looking. Yeah. It's just not they're walking down the street. He's walking down the street, and you just keep walking or whatever. But they're like, wait a minute, who is that?
Watch Meadow. You can watch Meadow with a fanny pack and a t-shirt walk somewhere, and people are like, something's wrong, not wrong, but off with that. Something's different. Same thing with the Crown, even in regular clothes. So that's what we look for. So if you want to be a pro wrestler and you have that look, it's a no-brainer. But if not, you come in and look, Kevin Owens doesn't have that look. Sami Zayn doesn't have that look. I mean, 90% of the WWE roster don't have that look anymore. So come in and train, and do this, especially because I get a lot of guys in their 30s, and I love those guys because they care and they love wrestling. But if you're 23 or 24, you should try it, because in 7 years you're gonna regret it. That's my question. That's my thing.
Nelio, there are a lot of athletes here, obviously, in South Florida. We can play sports year-round because of the weather. So there are a lot of athletes, a lot of great football, and football players translate to pro wrestlers, other sports too. But so there's a place here. AJ Francis, who's now with TNA Wrestling and all. AJ went through the CCW ranks in file after the Dolphins. He did some time playing football with the Dolphins.
He's back in September with us. Yeah, he's great. And we have one NIL former NIL WWE athlete, and then we have another state athlete that's training here with us that are just ready to report. So you have, like you said, South Florida, like women's rugby. Carolina is women's rugby. So I've had 2 or 3 very high level female rugby players reach out. I've had gymnasts reach out. What happens now is Dan Lambert will, when someone's coming close to their end of their MMA career, if they have any charisma, Dan Lambert says, I got a place for you to go. I had a guy come in who from the floor could basically jump over the top rope from the outside. He's a freak athlete, so that's a positive. That's a huge positive. But if you don't love it, because this is the other thing too, is I was at I snuck into the WWE WrestleMania after party, and I looked around. I was looking around, and there were so many guys who were like 6'5", 6'6", clearly college athletes, and girls who were just incredible. And I'd never seen them before, and they were all literally just training in the PC. Like they're just like, the WWE just looks around and has major athletes that they can turn in a second. So if you can come and work and be charismatic and incredible, like, Lola Weiss is a great example. Like the second she walked in here, from the first day she took her first lockup and her first bump, I was like, she's a star. She already is a star. Her personality is a star, right? So they have those athletes to choose from. WWE does immediately. It's just adding, what else do you have? Are you insanely smart or charismatic or can do something in the ring?
It's smart to keep up, obviously, with everything, but especially that, because the training center is in Orlando. So a lot of them are living here. Maybe they're going to stay here. So if they don't make it with WWE, because they bring a lot of college athletes, a lot of young people in to train, and come on, there's only so many spots available. So when you see people getting released and you scratch your head, how could that one be released? How could this one be? It's like, they've got so many. They've got so many. But if they're going to stay too in Central Florida, it's almost like, hey, maybe they'll want to come here. Maybe they'll want to continue this journey. We've got places for them and spots for them. So that's another thing.
Shows and 10 shows. So like, like you said, like, how many? There's 53 men on an NFL roster, but there's 32 teams. There's less spots for full-time television rosters on AEW and WWE than there are. So it's harder to make it into that than to make it on an NFL roster. Now, if you call me and say I'm 28 and I'd like to make the Miami Dolphins, I would say, man, you better be a freak. So I'm going to say the same thing. You better be a freak athlete if you want to get into the WWE or AEW. You know what I mean? But you do have that opportunity seized to get to wrestle 100 matches. Your first 100 matches, minus like Kurt Angle, are not going to be good. I think Kurt Angle is one of those, and Lola too, and actually Valerie too. Your first 100 matches are going to be bad. So you might as well have them as quickly as possible, right? So you're going to have that opportunity to do that in 100 matches in a year and a half, as opposed to 100 matches in 5 years with any other independent company,
Well, all right, we'll wrap this up. Shout out to Cha Cha Charlie and Chris Farrow.
Chris Farrow, Gangrel. Dan, man, 21 years, man. It's 20 years and a half, man. Dan Ackerman just never, Dan Evans, he never sleeps, man.
That's right, Dan Evans. Go with the Dan Evans. That's right. It's Dan Evans. I got to do editing now. Now I have to work. Now I have work to do. I have to do editing. No.
Yes.
All right, Nelio, thank you so much for taking the time. And we're going to see that anything CCW does is just amazing, but especially that Port St. Lucie show, that big weekend. That's going to be a lot of fun, summer glory. So thank you for the time.
Thank you, Jim. You the man.